What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to the Season 2 preview PV for Zenless Zone 0 through the Miasma of Memories and Evil. Looks like this is going to involve Yi Zhuan, not too surprising given that she is the Void Hunter of 2.0, Season 2, whatever you want to call it, but I'm just excited to get into this regardless of what it specifically covers. I'm very interested to see more of what the story going into Season 2 is going to look like. So with that, I won't delay things any further. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and let's get into this. Okay, a train or something? Subway?
Look at that!
Ah, the new area.
Welcome to Wi-Fi Peninsula.
Yeah, Wi-Fi Peninsula.
Upon this oceanside cliff is where New Eridu's porcelain originates.
Right, we learned that.
Wow. If
Ah,
all were peaceful, this would
interesting.
be a
New
perfect place.
outfits.
But
And that's her, okay.
unfortunately,
Unfortunately?
Come and try something sweeter than love.
Oh, there's a character we know. Fufu, I believe.
Wise, look over there.
You can never go wrong with
Ooh, a panda!
dyed and fake.
No way.
You should toss it.
Look at this color. And this one. It definitely seems relaxed and peaceful here.
Really sort of vibing with the more like traditional Chinese style outfits.
This area might not be as peaceful as it looks.
The hollows are everywhere. They are persistent.
There's more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Something happened in the hollow again?
Oh my god.
no. The
Oh,
omens
who is
originate in the
this?
hollows, yet true
Oh?
calamity lies within the city itself.
Okay, we're getting a lot of new characters. Oh, this is so good. I'm loving this. I'm loving
Tops
just seeing all of
monopolizes
these
all
people.
porcelain-related trade here.
Of course, Tops monopolizes
allowing
everything.
business to boom.
God.
But
Ooh,
no one
big
can
man!
predict what consequences
Please
that
let
will
us
bring.
play the big man. Yo? Like demon lady?
Greed
But like mech demon lady?
leads to disaster.
God, I'm barely
Sounds
paying
real
attention to what they're
mysterious.
saying with all the new characters.
A secret
vibe
lies
change.
beneath the ground here.
Oh.
Perhaps
Yo.
when the truth comes to light,
That. Whoa.
that secret
The Exaltists?
may
That
very
seems to
well
be Sarah.
the origin of calamity.
What's going on
Sounds
here?
so complicated.
Fret not.
They keep
This
choosing
investigation
a certain
will make
framing of
things
her.
Right.
So, we can still turn things around,
Okay.
right?
Ooh.
Indeed.
Whoa. That looks cool.
Regardless of the obstacles, all you need to do is follow your way.
Okay.
All evil shall be shattered.
Ooh. All right. A little bit more. Not done.
So, that's what happened.
Hmm.
It sounds truly unforgettable.
Oh, a final character we don't get to fully see, I take it? So there's a few different levels that we can look at this preview from. One of them is obviously the narrative and plot implications of what is being said and shown, which I will take my time to go through in a moment. But the other side of things is this is just showing us all the new characters we're going to be getting in this new patch cycle. Obviously, we have Yi Zhuan, who is the Void Hunter of this version. We have Fufu, who we met already in Hollow Zero. Seems to be cute. Curious to learn more about her. We have a panda guy here, which I don't know if he's meant to be an actual character, but still distinctive nonetheless. One thing that leads me to think the panda could actually be a character is that though it's very brief, we see what looks like the panda guy or a panda guy walking behind us when we are following Yi Zhuan near the end of this preview. So they very well might be a character. Curious to see what their vibe is. As I called out, we have these really sort of interesting, more Chinese-style outfits for the Faith and siblings. Very curious if this is just a fun thing for this preview, or if we'll actually get these outfits as like skins, or if these will in some way replace their outfits. Not entirely sure which one it would be, if any of those, but worth sort of bringing up, I'd say. But then we have this little Thyran, I'm assuming, which based on their design, I'm guessing is like cat or rabbit or something. It's sort of hard to tell. They have paws with beads and claws, but then the ears are more like rounded. I'm struggling to place exactly what animal they're supposed to be, but they are a much cuter sort of chibi-ized version of a character. But I'm guessing this is their weapon, so a big, like, brutal axe. Seems like they could be a very goofy character. We don't see much of them, but we have someone who will almost certainly be a character, being what looks like a black-haired Thyran, either like dog or wolf probably, who seems to have almost sort of a biker aesthetic going on, which is very distinctive compared to what we've been seeing so far of this area, who has a big sword, which I very much enjoy. Probably would be the more aggressive or brooding type. We have a girl here who I think also has ears, so another kind of Thyran, but more humankind. Has heterochromia, it would seem. Seems much more scared, fearful, that kind of thing, as they're moving through an area before getting spooked by what looks like a raccoon in a hat. And that raccoon seems to be the pet or companion or whatever of this girl, who seems much more mischievous. We see this character again next to this person, who design-wise isn't particularly distinctive. They look like they very well could be part of one of the various government or military groups like the HIA or something like that, but it's sort of unclear. It's entirely possible that they will actually be a character, but their outfit, like I said, isn't super distinctive to me. And then we get two characters which honestly are the ones I'm most excited for initially. On the left, we have what looks like a big mech man, which I love if that's something we could get playable. In all of the Hoyoverse games, something I have been itching for a long time is just a big faceless guy. We almost had that with Capitano in Genshin. Maybe we still will if we cope hard enough. We kind of sort of have that in the form of Sam in Star Rail, but that is a big technicality, and this is our first sign of maybe being able to get that truly in Zenless. Now, of course, it's entirely possible. That's a mech that has a girl inside it. Knowing the pattern of Hoyoverse, that is possible, but I hold out hope for Big Mech Man as a playable guy. And then on the other side here, we have a woman who, whether or not her horns and stuff are biological or not, it seems like there is a technological aspect to it, given that this seems more like an actual weapon than an actual biological piece of her body, but she very well might be some sort of cyborg. She has this sort of demon-esque aesthetic going on with the horns, the tail, the red and black aesthetic, very much sort of cyborg demon-esque aesthetic going on here. Seems like the tail might be a bit personified despite being a gun with a blade attached to it. Probably a lot of cool stuff could be done combat-wise with this character, so I'm looking forward to them. But we don't personality-wise get too much off of them. And then we get this figure, who I'm guessing is some kind of leader among the Exaltists. Given that they appear very religious and cult-like in their design, surrounded by similarly garbed people, but who are less extravagant, and the fact that they are seen in the same time as Sarah, which means this will probably be another major figure of the main antagonist force we will meet, or at the very least have conflict with, even if we don't directly meet. And it'll be curious to see how well they work together with Sarah and how in line their plans are and beliefs, because I very well could see, based on the sort of vibe we get here, that Sarah is more of a practical, cruel, ruthless, get the job done kind of person, where this person is absolutely far more bought into the religious aspect of the Exaltists in all likelihood. That is my general guess. Almost certainly this won't be a playable character, probably an antagonist. But beyond that, that is all the actual characters we have appearing in this trailer, with the exception of this person at the end here that we only see the back of in a reflection of water, and presumably are hearing the voice of at the end here. I would not be surprised because of this if this character is in some way a major player in the story, but I suppose we'll have to see about that. Now it is time for us to go into the more narrative and plot side of things. So obviously the basis of this preview is to show us the location and cast of the new area of Waifei Peninsula. Visually, I love how this place looks, being this blend of sort of verdant rocky mountains and more conventional modern buildings smattered throughout, alongside some more traditional buildings just all blended together. It's a really solid aesthetic visually. Obviously, this is the obligatory second region based off of China, which I know some people are annoyed about, but I find it sort of endearing, and at least personally, I'm not tired of the aesthetic. But to get into the dialogue a bit, the first few lines are entirely just introducing the place, all info that we already had, but then we have Yijuan speaking up, saying, if all were peaceful, this would be a perfect place, but unfortunately, but then does not finish her statement as we go on to sort of show off the area, show off some characters. Belle continues to acknowledge how relaxed and peaceful it seems, acknowledging how different it is from 6th Street, but Wise brings up this area might not be as peaceful as it looks. Simultaneously, this first minute is serving to tell us this place seems idyllic and beautiful and peaceful and generally relaxed, but clearly there is conflict and danger brewing underneath the surface. The Hollows are still a threat. The Exaltists are still a threat. There are things happening that are causing problems. And that is when we begin to show some of these other characters. The omens originate in the Hollows, yet true calamity lies within the city itself. The origin of the dangers we face here are of the Hollows, yet the true danger, the true calamity, is within the city itself, boiling underneath. Almost certainly what this is talking about is the fact that the Hollows are what produces ether corruption and ethereals, but the city is what houses the Exaltists and people who scheme against the peace. One other thing I want to note while on this part of it is the fact that this guy's walking around with this big-ass sword, and nobody around him seems to really care. Realistically, it could just be that these people know who he is and therefore are not worried, or it goes to say something about the attitude of the area, that they're not worried about a man with a big sword. Not entirely sure which one it is. It also could just be nothing, and they just didn't bother making these people react. The previous voice then speaks again, saying Topps monopolizes all porcelain-related trade here, showing us that Topps has their fingers in a lot of the trade here as well. They are the major business conglomerate of the city, so it makes sense. We won't be able to get away from them anytime soon, and that seems to be not something to be trusted, as they continue by saying, but no one can predict what consequences that will bring. A monopoly on a certain type of business is in itself economically a very dangerous thing, and obviously when that conglomerate is involved with the Exaltists and very well might not have the best interests of the city at heart in general, it likely will have many consequences that we will have to deal with. And emphasizing that this monopoly is not a good thing, they say greed leads to disaster. And as we shift to showing off this group, probably the Exaltists, as I've said, she continues by saying a secret lies beneath the ground here. Perhaps when the truth comes to light, that secret may very well be the origin of calamity. There is a secret underneath the city, that looming danger, that impending calamity, that threat from within the city that we must be more careful about than the Hollows. Really just pointing us directly at the fact these are the bad guys, these are the antagonists, they're probably the Exalted based on what we know. But now that we've actually looped back around to this point, something I forgot to mention earlier that came to mind was that looking at this person's mask, I can't help but notice that this portion with the eyes looks very evocative of some ethereals, some of the more powerful ones we've run into recently. I don't think it maps onto any specific ethereal design-wise, but it's evocative of that, at least to me. I could be way off base there, but just thought I'd call it out. But from here, we return back to Wise and Belle as they continue following Yijuan. Belle saying, it sounds so complicated, but despite her concern, Yijuan confidently steps forward and says, fret not, this investigation will make things right. Evidently, it would seem that we are working directly with her on an investigation, probably after the events of 1.7's story. When we meet her, she asks for our help or recruits us in some way, for what we will be doing in Season 2. Which is interesting because I believe Yizhuan is very directly affiliated with the government and military, given that she is a Void Hunter, and the way that she gets involved in 1.7 is supposed to be through the mayor bringing her in. It is interesting that we, as proxies, are in a position directly working with her face to face. But Belle, in response, says so we can still turn things around. But she isn't 100% confident in that. She's saying so as a question, hoping that Yizhuan will tell her, yes, we can handle this. Indeed, regardless of the obstacles, all you need to do is follow your way, assuring us that as long as we keep going on this path, as long as we stay true to ourselves, we shall overcome calamity, we shall overcome evil. And she follows this up with a statement of all evil shall be shattered, and that is where we are left. It's a statement very evocative of what we have heard from Miyabi of purge all evil, that kind of thing. It seems Miyabi is not the only Void Hunter seeking to destroy all that is evil, purge all evil, shatter all evil, whatever the phrasing may be. This sort of mantra or goal has been repeated in multiple forms by these powerful figures. And overall, with that being the end, this is a very interesting preview. It very much so is just sort of building hype for the new characters and story. We don't honestly get that many new elements than we already had story-wise, with the introduction of this figure being really the main exception. But the main thing this achieves is just the sheer amount of characters we are shown. Inevitably, all of these characters will be of varying factions that we will meet, run into, befriend in all likelihood. It's very exciting to see all these new characters, and inevitably this probably won't be all of the characters. There will probably be more that we see later. These are just the ones they are showing us first, which just makes me very excited for the future. But with that, I don't really have too much more to say about this trailer specifically, so I'm going to leave things here. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and I hope you all have a great day. Goodbye!